So what we just did with our algeblocks is what we're going to do on paper now, okay? We've got our equation, we've got our x plus y. So you guys had that on your mat, right? Or on your table. You had x plus y. Now it's an equation though, it equals 3. Down here, when I have this, we call this our substitution. Instead of statue and bag of sand, we're actually talking about substitution, okay? But here's what it's saying. It's saying our statue, our x, is equal to y plus 1, what you guys just did, okay? So our y plus 1, this is our bag of sand. And we're saying this bag of sand weighs the same amount as that statue. So up here on this equation, I can replace my statue with the bag of sand, right? And that's what you just did. You had that x, you picked it up, you took the y plus 1, and you put it there, right? I messed up. It was y plus 2, but we're changing to y plus 1. Is that okay? Can we handle that? Good. Okay. You guys with me? You picked it up and you replaced it with y plus 1. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to take away this x. We're taking it away, gone, and we're replacing it with this. So then I can rewrite this now. Instead of an x, I'm going to put y plus 1. I still have the rest of this, plus y equals 3. And now I've gotten it down to where I just have one variable, the y's. I can simplify. Y plus y is 2y. You got 2y plus 1 equals 3. And then we just solve this equation. Easy peasy. Okay? So subtract 1, 2y equals 2, divide by 2, and now we know y equals 1. Our whole goal here is to figure out what's x and y for both of these. It makes both of these equations true. So now if I know y equals 1, you plug it in. I could plug it in here, I could plug it in here, it really doesn't matter. I like to use my substitution to plug it in. So I plug it in there, 1 plus 1 is 2. So x equals 2. And then I want you to, you guys, write it out in your coordinates. Okay? 2, 1. Now that was the most basic, simple equations that we could have for this. Of course, it's not always going to be that simple. So why don't you guys get out your homework, get out your book to your page of 96.
Crying is in my future.
Crying is in your future. Okay, we're going to do number 1 together. I'm going to start trying to get us into some more math talk instead of talking about Indiana Jones all day, although maybe you want to do that. But our first job is to figure out what's our substitute. Do we have one or do we have to create one? He had to create it. He had that bag of sand. He had to get rid of some of the sand. He had to create one. But sometimes it's given to us. Sometimes it's right there. We actually have 2 substitutes here. They're both telling me what y is worth, right? This one's telling me y is worth x plus 4, and this one's telling me y is worth 2x plus 5. We just have to pick which one do we want to use as the substitute. Doesn't really matter. Someone pick one. Oh, top one. Top one's our substitute. So that means this right here is my bag of sand, which means my statue is the y. That's what I'm plugging it in for. But I'm not plugging it in here because this is where I got my substitute from. I'm plugging in the other equation. So I'm plugging it in for the y there, because that's what y is worth. Y is worth x plus 4. So I'm going to plug that in right here. So now it's our job to rewrite it with the substitute replacing the y. So instead of y, what am I going to write? X plus 4. So we've got x plus 4 equals, and then it just equals what's left there. Once you get to this point, it's going to rely on your solving equation skills, which I know some of us are still struggling with a little bit. Okay, so you want to double check these things. All right, I have x's on both sides. I need to get them on one side. Which one should I move? Sure, how am I going to move it? How do we bring it? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing? We're going to subtract it. So let's all subtract x on both sides. So we get 4 equals 2x minus x is x plus 5. We're going to move the 5 over. We should do that by subtracting. So we get negative 1 equals x. We're not done. Normally when you solve an equation, you're done here, right? But our job is to figure out what x and y are, so we need to find y. We just take what x is. I like to go up to my substitute and plug it in there, just because it's already set up for me just to do the math. So I plug in negative 1, so we get negative 1 plus 4 gives me, so x is negative 1, y is 3. Ooh, good. I'm so excited that's what 2 is. Okay, let's get 2 written down. So the last one I'll do with you, and then you guys are going to work on the rest. All right. Remember I said sometimes you have to create the substitute. Sometimes you have to create the bag of sand. Okay? Just like you did in the video. You have to create the bag of sand. Now, when I look at it, this is a whole lot of business going on. I need to pick what am I going to use for my bag of sand. And that's when you, in the video, if you remember watching in the video, it said the clean variable. What do I mean by a clean variable? It's a variable that doesn't have a number in front of it. If you can find one, that's awesome. Do we have a variable up here that doesn't have a number in front of it? Yeah. The x. That's going to be the one. A lot of people, once they find that, they try to move the x over. Don't move the x over. That's one you keep. Okay? We're going to move the other one over. So what I like to do is I like to draw an arrow, move it over. So I got x plus 2y equals 9. So it's all I did was copy it down. I haven't actually done anything. I just copied it down to give myself room to work. And now I want to keep the x there. That one's already solved for as far as there's no number in front. I want to keep it there, move the other stuff over. So I'm going to move my 2y over. I subtract it because it's a plus 2y. So we have x equals, and then we've got 9 minus 2y. There's my bag of sand. There's my substitute. What's my statue? Which variable is my statue? That's my equation, but what's my statue? Can you tell x is our statue? That's the thing we're going to be replacing. How can you tell that's what we're replacing? Right, and that's what x equals, right? X equals the substitute. This is my substitute. I'm plugging it in for x. That's what this says, right? If that's what x equals, that's what I want to replace. So that's my statue. So over here, I'm not using the top equation. That's what I use to get my bag of sand. That's what I use to get my substitute. I'm using the bottom equation. I'm finding x, that's right there, and that's what I'm plugging it in for. I'm going to take this and plug it in for that x. Now notice there's a number in front of that x. That number means 3 times x. So that means when I plug in the substitute, I'm going to have to take 3 times the whole substitute. So that's why I always use parentheses when I plug in, okay? So I've got a 3. I'm replacing the x, so I put my parentheses, and I'm replacing it with 9 minus 2y. Copy down the rest. So I got plus 5y equals 20. Once you get here, now you're just solving the equation, you guys. Okay? We don't need to worry about any bags of sand. We don't need to worry about anything. We're just solving the equation. I've got a 3 in front of a bubble. I need to multiply it through, distribute it through. Okay, my 8th graders are really liking it, calling it the rainbow method. Okay? Rainbows. Multiply by 3. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times negative 2y is negative 6y. And then the rest is the 5y. Should I multiply that by 3? Why not? It's not in the parentheses, it's outside. So we just copy that down. So it's plus 5y equals 20. I'm not going to quite start solving yet because I have a little simplifying to do. Because I have on this left side, I have negative 6y plus 5y. So we've got a negative 6 and a positive 5. We've got some 0 pairs canceling out. And I have left over a negative 1. So we still have 27. A negative 1y equals 20. So as long as the negatives, this is where you get mixed up on that, right? So I would stop flipping things around and leave it as is, okay? So get rid of the green guys, get rid of the units, the ones without the y. What is that? 27. How do I get rid of 27? Subtract 27. We have negative 1y equals negative 7. We're almost done. So then we gotta get rid of the negative 1. It's times y. So how do I get rid of it? Divide both sides by negative 1. Y equals 7. Whew, that was a lot more work than the first one, right? It's going to be like that. Now, I've only found y. I still have to find x. Now, again, where do you plug it in? This is the biggest question I get. Where do I plug in that 7? Well, you could plug it in here, or you could plug it in here. I personally like to plug it in my substitute because it's already set up for me just to do the math. I don't have to solve anything, I just do the math. So I get x equals 9 minus 2 times 7. You can do that.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I write down in coordinate form, negative 5, comma 7. So, that's substitution in a nutshell. All right? Hopefully you all watched your video and you can get going on this assignment. You now need to finish 3 through 7. So, Derek's here. He's just...
No, he's gone. He's not.
Okay.